Sometimes in life, you come across a piece of art that changes your life forever. Whether it's a book or a movie or a song or a painting, after experiencing it for the first time, it changes everything. And you view life in a different way with a new perspective and a different mindset. For me, that piece of art was this right here. Invincible. Invincible changed my life in more ways than one, and I am so happy to finally be talking about it with you all. So welcome back to the channel. Let's jump right into this and talk about why Invincible changed my life and why it is one of my favorite stories of all time. I put this series at the top of my list. It's up there with The Dark Tower, Avatar: The Last Airbender, God of War, Name of the Wind, everything. I mean, this is one of my favorite stories across any medium, and for good reason. It has a lot of good things going for it. So let's just start at the top and give you kind of like a story time of why it changed my life and how it set me on a new course that I never anticipated. And it really all started with this book right here. So I was one day just scrolling through Amazon Prime Video. I was just watching some random stuff, just scrolling through, trying to figure out what I wanted to watch next. And I saw like this banner for this show called Invincible. And I was like, Invincible? Like, what the hell is that? Like, I'm surprised I hadn't heard of this like new animated superhero show that's on Amazon now. I mean, I really knew nothing about it. I just saw it up there and I was like, let's just go ahead and give it a shot. Watch that first episode, and man, for those of you who know what happens in that first episode, it is pretty insane and mind-blowing, and you don't really expect that from an animated superhero show because it is so gory and violent and things like that, and it really like opened my eyes. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what the hell is this? So I was probably maybe like 6 episodes behind or so. So I caught all the way up. Then I was watching them as they came out weekly and finally saw the ending, and it blew me away. And then I started to do some research on it. I was consulting with a friend who's really big into superheroes. And he told me, he's like, dude, like, you've never heard of Invincible before? And I'm like, no, I've never heard that. And then like, until I like watched it. And then he's like, there's an entire comic run and it's done, and it's been done for years. You have to read it. When I heard that, I was like, no fucking way. Like, I mean, am I going to like read like the same thing that I just like watched? And he's like, no. The first season is only like 10 issues or something in the actual entire series. Like, there is still so much more to get through. You have no idea what's coming. And he was right. I genuinely had no idea. And I was thoroughly blown away when I ended up actually reading this. So here's how it really changed my life. I had never come across adult superheroes in this style before. I've read a lot of DC and I've read a lot of Marvel in my life, but I've never read something like this that was outside of that world that also felt as impactful and meaningful as those Marvel and DC stories did. And it really it changed my view on how I viewed like the superhero genre and what superheroes could be. And I think that's kind of like the point of this. It's definitely a commentary on the superhero genre as a whole. And some would go as far to even call it a satire of the superhero genre. But it doesn't feel like it's goofy or campy or it's trying to make fun of superheroes too much. Like, there are points of that in this, but it's never just obscene and in your face. It's not like a joke. It takes itself very, very serious, even though it is satirizing superheroes in a way. But it changed everything for me. And I like I said, I never thought I could read about superheroes in this way, where they're not afraid to, like someone like Mark Grayson with these powers isn't afraid to like lay a huge hit on someone and maybe their head's going to get blown off. And you're just like, whoa, where'd that come from? It's like, oh shit, I didn't realize I was that strong. And you only really see that a lot of times in like kind of joke Marvel stories and things like that. But you never really see it like in a mature setting like you do in Invincible. And so I'd never come across anything like that. And when I read it, it only got better and better. And it only got bigger as well. So to start off this video and kind of the explanation of what this is, this follows a superhero named Mark Grayson. But at the start of the story, he doesn't have any powers. He's just a regular kid. And eventually he gets powers. His father is like the most famous superhero on the planet. His name is Omni-Man. And he gets powers, and from there it's like it scales, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But it starts so small. It's a very small scale story to begin with. And then it just starts to unravel. I mean, Mark literally starts this story in high school, but it becomes a almost like universal intergalactic war story. And for those who don't know, that is what this series really is. Yes, it's a superhero story, but I would go as far as to say it's almost more sci-fi than superheroes. The superheroes are in it. It has those elements, but it's not someone just saving cats out of a tree. It's not really street level. This is a literal intergalactic story. It's a space opera. You follow Mark from high school all the way to different planets. It's a multi-dimensional story. It's a multiversal story. You have so many different aspects and elements in this world. And I would go as far as to say, like I said, it's more so sci-fi than it is superheroes. You're going to get a lot of advanced technology. You're going to get a lot of spaceships. You're going to get a lot of different alien races. You're going to get different planets. You're going to get coalitions of planets, big intergalactic civilizations and warriors. And you follow the main antagonists in this story are the Viltrumites, but you still get like different villains from different places. And like, just because like the Viltrumites are like the most powerful in the universe doesn't mean there aren't other races that are like, can like go toe to toe with them. So you're going to get so many different people intertwining in this story. And it feels massive. It really will just blow your mind. And to tie this back into how it changed my life specifically, I started writing because of Invincible. It was kind of Invincible and it was kind of Percy Jackson. And both of those two things really set me on to my new wave of writing. I've written plenty of scripts in the past, and I used to write novellas and short stories and things like that when I was younger, but I had never written an entire book. And after reading this and after reading Percy Jackson as an adult, I was like, wow, I should give this a go. And I want to see what I can do. And I want to try and write a story like these. I want to write almost like an adult Percy Jackson story. And I want to write something like Invincible. Like, this is the gold standard for me for storytelling, for world building, for superheroes, for everything. I will take Invincible over everything. Would I take Invincible over Marvel or DC? Maybe. As far as a complete story from start to finish, yes. Marvel and DC kind of have the issue where there's too much lore. And what I mean by that, and you might think, how's there too much lore? Like, there's no such thing as that. But when you have so many different comic runs, you have so many different writers and different artists and storylines and timelines and just things to keep track of that also don't go in one singular line. The timeline isn't just straight. It's kind of all over the place, and it crosses over, and there's multiple different timelines. And because it's kind of a multiverse, you can have different Spider-Man and all these things and whatnot. And so, it can kind of be a lot to jump into and a lot to think about and a lot to try to keep track of. And it's kind of intimidating, it really is. Like, I think that there are some DC and Marvel stories where you can just get like a compendium, you can get or an omnibus, you can get like one full story. But again, there's so many that and you don't really know where to stop. And it can be chaotic. It can be a lot. And I know that the comic enthusiasts out there are going to say, oh, well, you can read this, this, and this. And I've read all of those things, but it's still, Invincible to me feels like the easiest to get into and the most complete journey from start to finish, where you know there's nothing else coming out. You know Mark Grayson's story, by the time you get to this third compendium, it's over. There's no more. That's it. He got his ending. And nothing else is going to come out that's going to change that. You know, yes, the TV show is happening, but it's not like it's not deviating too far off the script. You're still going to get everything really that you're going to get in these. And that's another good point, you know, to mention right here. The TV show, if you're watching that and you started with that, just like I did, definitely pick this up, like read these. I actually haven't even finished the second season. I got to that mid-season break and I haven't watched anything else because I don't need to. I've talked about this in plenty of other videos. I don't need to watch the rest of that show because this is perfect to me. This series is like, it's everything. And I don't need it in a different format or a different medium. I don't need to see it animated. The art in this alone is top notch. It's some of the best. You don't need to see it in a different way to have it more impactful or whatever. Like, I don't even think you can beat this. I don't think you can top this. I don't think animation can even come close to the things that you see in these compendiums. So definitely check this out if you are introduced to this series through the TV show. Don't wait until the TV show is over. That's going to take years. That could take literally 10 years. You do not want to wait that long. You should absolutely read this. Read it start to finish. Don't go to where the TV show has ended and then read from there. Start it from the very beginning, because you're going to get new things that you didn't see in the TV show. This is like the extended edition of Lord of the Rings. You're just getting more. The TV show is going to be the theatrical cut. You're going to get all the pieces that you're going to miss in the TV show in this. This is the proper gold standard format to absorb this story in. And I don't have much, I don't have much else to say to convince you necessarily to read this without getting into too many spoilers, but it had such a profound impact on me where it literally inspired me to do everything that I'm doing now. It probably inspired me in a way to create this channel because I loved Invincible so much. I didn't have an outlet to talk about it, and now I do. And maybe I created this because I didn't have it before while reading this. So that's one way it impacted me. And another way it changed my life was with my books and becoming an author and self-publishing my first novel, which is a superhero novel. And it was entirely inspired by Invincible because, again, it changed the way I saw superheroes. It changed the way I saw this genre. It even changed the way I saw story in general. Like I said, it starts so small, but then it goes in so many crazy and different directions that you never anticipated before. And it just shows that truly your mind is the limit. Your creativity is the limit when you are writing and creating art, whether it be anything, movies, books, anything. For me, it was books. And I saw that I could take books in any direction I wanted. I could take that story any which way I desired. I could take it to different planets. I could introduce all the lore I wanted to. And this is what did it for me. This is really what did it for me. I don't know, I've read a bunch of other things. I've come across a lot of different stories and a lot of different characters and movies, television show. I mean, I've seen it all. And I still keep coming back to Invincible. I don't know. I do know what it is, but I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'll ever find anything better than this. Invincible got me through some really tough times in my life. And it just showed me, what if I keep going with this, where I want to be one day. I want to have a series like this that gives people that same feeling that it gave me when I read it at those low points, and how it picked me up and helped me push through and continue. And I want to provide that for other people too one day. So that's why I always like to point back to this series and say that it's a life-changing series. It has one of the greatest journeys that you will ever come across. You'll get some terrible betrayals. You'll get some heartbreak. You'll get some plot twists. Like I said, it's going to take you to different planets. It's going to take you to different worlds. It's going to take you to different dimensions. There are countless wars. There are countless 1v1 battles. There are badass characters. There are tons of different powers. There are different superhero groups. You're going to see some of the craziest art you could ever imagine. You're going to see some of the craziest superhero and comic book moments you could ever imagine. And it collects it all in these 3 compendiums. So you're going to get the complete story right here. And these are some thick books, by the way. You're going to get the whole story collected in these nice compendiums. Easy as that. It's not, you don't have to have 1,000 different comic issues and you're running around trying to figure out, which series you're supposed to read and this and that. It's like, no, this is it. You got 3 books right here. You can read them fairly quick. The pacing is phenomenal. Like some of the best you will ever come across. There's really no slog. There are no down moments. Every compendium, in my opinion, gets better and better. The story just keeps getting better and better, gets bigger. The world, the scale of the world, it keeps expanding. And every time you think you know where the story is going, it flips it on its head. And then it ends in such an amazing way that it's like, it's coming, but it still is like perfect. The ending is perfect. The beginning is perfect. And in my opinion, this series is perfect. So I rated it, obviously, a 10 out of 10 when I've read it in the past. And I reread this series about once a year, maybe. I didn't read it this year just because, again, I have so many other things to get through, specifically Berserk right now, like in the kind of comic book manga space. So I had to take a break with this year, but I definitely do plan on doing a reread probably sometime early next year. And if you guys are all big fans of Invincible and you want to see me talk about it more, let's get into it. We can talk about it in the comments, or we can, I can do another video next year or something like that, where we can really do a deep dive, spoiler discussion, and really just get into the nitty gritty of this series. I'll say this now though, my favorite character in this series besides Mark Grayson is Battle Beast. He's a beast. He's awesome. And I love that character so much anytime he showed up in this series. But if you guys want to do a deep dive into this series, we definitely can after I reread it, and we can really talk about some of those spoiler moments and things like that, because there's just so much in it now. I couldn't go back and forth and pick it apart. It's been, over a year since I've read it. And I like to always show the books and things that I review a little bit of respect, in the sense that I want to read it and review it and talk about when it's fresh in my mind. I don't like to sit on it too long and forget too much. So I would like to do it in a, more proper circumstance. But this was just going to be a shorter video today. I just wanted to get that out there and just explain that this series really just changed everything for me. And I think it could absolutely change your life too. And you should definitely pick it up. Order just the first compendium or order all 3, and I guarantee you will not be disappointed, because it is fantastic. 10 out of 10 for me, perhaps an 11 out of 10, because it really is my favorite story of all time, and also the story that just changed everything, inspired me to do what I'm doing now. So hope that convinces you guys to read this series. And if it does, let me know if you do pick it up down in the comments below. And if you do end up reading it or have read it before, let me know your thoughts also in the comments, and let's talk about it. So that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, I would really appreciate a like. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. As always, happy reading and writing, and I'll see you guys next time.